In this video I'm going to show you how to firstly create your database and then import the data from the CSV files that you've got. So in your assignment folder, in your assessment folder, you have 3 CSV files that may look something similar to the ones that you see on the screen at the moment. So we've already done a plan for the database, so what we're going to do is import the data, and then we're going to go back into the designs of each of the tables, and we're going to then change certain settings within the design of the table to match our plans. So the first thing I need to do is to create my database. Okay, so I'm going to open up Access. Okay, and I'm going to start with a blank database. So you just need to click it once. Okay, so blank database. It opens up this dialog box. It's asking me to name my my database, so I'm going to call this test database. Okay, and I'm going to select where I'm going to save it. Okay, so I'm going to select the browse button here. I'm going to scroll to where I'm going to save my database, and I'm going to save it in this folder here called ICT database. Obviously you'll save yours in a folder that's suitable to you. I'm going to click OK, and then I'm going to click create. So now I've created my database, okay, with a suitable file name. Okay, your file name should be something that's relevant to your database, what your database is used for. So if you're doing a disco, then it might be disco database. If you're doing a restaurant, then it might be restaurant database, etc. Okay, so we don't need this table because we're going to import the data, so I'm just going to close it down. So this process is the same for all of the tables. You need to import all of the 3 tables. I'm only going to show you one. So to do this, we need to go onto the external data menu, and we're going to select a new data source, and we're going to open we're going to import from a file, and we are importing from a text file. I know they show like this, okay, but they're actually text files. I'll explain why in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to select text file. Right, from this point forward, you now need to start screenshotting evidence of the importing of your data. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is to select the file I want to import. So I'm going to click Browse. I'm going to go to my folder where I've got my CSV files, and these are my 3 CSV files. Okay, so each one of these needs to be imported in the same way as we're doing this one. So I'm going to select one of these. So I'll select Equipment. Okay, so this is going to import the equipment details into your database. Obviously those CSV files will be different depending on what assignment you're doing, but you've got 3 of them. We're going to make sure that we import the data into a new table. So I'm going to click OK. So that's what this means. So this is the file that's being used. This is where the data is stored. This is where it's going to be imported into the new table. So you need to take a screenshot and explain that. Okay. So we are using delimited, because each of the values that we have are separated by commas. You can see that in the preview underneath the sample data. So you can see that I got option 7, comma, screen, sound, stage, lighting, grandstand, large, and marquee in speech marks. Okay, comma, and then my my costings there. So I've got 1, 2, 3 different fields within this table. Okay. So that's why it's delimited. I'm going to click Next. Okay, this is identifying the fact that each of the values are separated by commas. Okay, I've got, if you look at the sample data, the first row here contains the field names that are in my database. So I need to make sure I select that, otherwise my import will not work properly. Okay, so it says the first row contains field names, cannot be used for some data. So just click OK on that, and I'll explain the reason why. So I've got field 4, field 5, field 6, field 7, and the reason for that is the value here, if I go back one, just to show you, this value has commas within it, alright, but it's in speech marks, so we need to make sure that when we do this, that we have the text qualifier set as speech marks. Okay, and now you can see that I've got 1, 2, 3 fields, so it's important that you set the text qualifier. I'm going to click Next. I can change the values of the fields here, but I don't want to do that because I'm going to go back and I'm going to do that separately after I've imported all the data. I'm going to click Next. and I'm going to select no primary key because we're going to choose those later as well. Make sure that you do that, please. No primary key. Alright, and then click next, and then finish, and then close. And you can see now that my equipment table has been imported. So if I open that up, you can see that all my data has now been imported from that CSV file into the table. So this saves you having to type in the data manually. Okay, so you need to do the same thing for each of the 3 tables that you've got, and each one needs to be screenshot, evidenced and explained to show that you understand what's happening with the import process. Okay, so 3 tables imported into a new database.